So I think this is looking quite interesting. So another thing that I want to do is use this path to control the shape of this fluid. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, translate the fluid source here to the edge of this shape, and then make the particles follow this path. So let's go into the path node. Let's copy this output null. So press Ctrl C. Then you can press number 2 on your keyboard to go back to your flip source. And here I'm going to add a translate node to move this sphere forward. So add the transform node and move the Y value to -5. Let's go back into our top network. And this time I will add a pop curve force. And connect it to my merge. I will organize the nodes real quick. Now select your pop curve force, and here under your sub path, press Ctrl V to paste the output of our path. So right out of the bat, we will have a guide that will show us the area of influence of this path. So let's take a look through our camera and press play, see what's happening now. So something is happening. Currently the noise or the turbulence is quite strong. So I'll just turn off these two nodes, both the turbulence big and the turbulence small. You can click on this bypass flag, and let's take a look now. So notice how the particles are being attracted towards the curve, and will also try to follow its shape as well as to twist or spin around it. So let's take a look at some of the pop curve force properties. Here under individual forces, you will have three very important parameters: follow scale, suction scale, and orbit scale. So orbit is the one giving it the twist. I will increase it a bit. And follow scale is very important. This force is the one pushing the particles through the shape of this curve. So let's increase this scale to 10. So now the particle should move faster through the curve. And one thing I usually do is I try to maintain the suction scale balanced with the follow scale. This way the particles won't be thrown out of this area of influence. Instead, once they reach the edge, they will be pushed back again into the curve. Okay, so this is looking promising. One thing that I'm noticing here is at the beginning of the curve, the particles are somehow losing speed. So let's go into the global forces, and here you will find this force along length ramp. And notice how towards the end of the path, this force is being decreased. And this is why the particles are kind of stopping here. So let's click on this swatch, the last one, and change its value to 1. This way we won't have a decrease in the force. And this will fix this issue that we're having here with these particles. So let's go back to frame 1 and again press play. Let's just check that we have fixed that issue. And apparently it's much better now. So let's go back to our simulation and let's turn back on our pop forces. Let's go back to our camera view. And actually one thing we can do is turn off the visualization of this pop curve. So let's go to the guides and we can actually click here on show curve only. Okay, so this is looking very nice. There's a few things that I would like to fix. First of all, the source is too regular. I would also like to add more noise and more breakup, and also probably play a bit with the curve forces. But let's take a look at the entire frame range first. Okay, so definitely I'm going to change the source, add more turbulence, and let's go from there. So press stop, go back to frame 1. Let's jump out of our top network. And here under our source, I'm going to change the scale of the sphere, probably to 0.3. And now I will add a transform node. And offset this sphere in its Y position. Let's template the original sphere. And probably I'll use an offset of 0.75. And again, I will create another transform. Let's also template the second sphere. So you can press Shift and click on the template flag. And for this second transform, I'll also move in X. Let's say 0.8 units. And probably decrease the Y position just a little bit. So let's go with this. Now let's merge all three spheres. So create a merge node and connect both transforms here. And this should look much nicer. So dive back to your top network. Let's press play. And yes, I think this is working better. So let's increase our turbulence a little bit. Let's go with 10 on the amplitude for the big turbulence. And probably 5 for the small turbulence. Let's increase the resolution of the simulation. So I'll go with a particle separation of 0.02 and press play. And this is definitely looking much better. Okay, so I think we're ready to export these particles. So I'll just stop the simulation.